Shotgun spraying the light and blazing the night. I got dogs at 7:30 just waiting to bite. So play if you want. You be that nigga laid in the front. After I'm done, I let my dog start shaking.
The Mayo, and you're now tuned in to Ahkumentaries. I'm here with the founder, CEO, Ahk2Gs.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Ahk, I heard a story about you, how you had an opportunity to work with a young, future rising star from your neighborhood. Hey, tell me about that story.
I used to be up on Sugar Hill, and I came up under the mob style umbrella, which was AZ, Gangsta Lou, Pretty Tongue Capone, Whip Wop. And A, lead of the group, his younger brother was my boy, like a real close friend. We went to school together. My boy Wayne, aka Book Barnes, rest in peace. We used to make beats together, basically in a shit called the back room, which was the crib, you know what I mean? A lot of hustlers in the streets used to come and see A. And they went from kind of like hustling on the streets together to trying to break their way into the music business.
One of the guys that was managing me and my partner, you know, he was getting money. You know how they got the guy that's getting money, he's managing this local artist.
And basically, a lot of people that was trying to break into the music business, A would introduce us to them because they either needed beats or needed studio time, you know, stuff like that. So he introduced us to this one cat that he was hustling with that was getting into the music business. And he had these two kids from my neighborhood, from up the street, and they was called Draft Pick.
Juelz Santana. He was down with a group called Draft Pick in the beginning. It was two of them before Dipset. About 15 years old, he looked like a baby.
Because was it around that time that you formed Draft Pick, the duo?
Okay, so let me tell you about Draft Pick. Draft Pick was a group I had, you know, a situation I was in before I met Cam and got with the Diplomats and that whole, this whole thing of ours that y'all know today, the mighty, mighty Dipset. I was in a situation and we were called the Draft Picks. It was me and my partner, Malik. Malik, that's my brother to this day. Shout out to Malik. Mo Better, what's good,
what
baby?
I know was these two kids, they was about 15 years old, 15, 16 years old, real young. The thing about it was, I didn't really even know that they took rap like that serious, you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't too familiar with them, but I heard that they was doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? So by the time I met them, they was kind of like locked in as a group, and the manager presented them to us through A.
How did you and Wayne go about working with them?
One day, me and Book was in there working on this beat, and Book wasn't really crazy about the beat, to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? So I just was still working. Book went up there with his family, he was up front. He was like, yo, I ain't really crazy about it, but you can knock it out. So I was in the back room, I'm still working on the beat. The beat needed more stuff to it, you know what I'm saying? Like a bass line or 808. Like all I had was like the drums and the strings. I just felt like it needed more to it. It didn't have a song mode, it didn't really have much to it. So at this time, I'm working on a beat, but as it got later through the day, I basically just kind of shut it down because I wasn't sure what I wanted to add at that point. Sometimes beats, you know, you could work on them in one day, but to me, the best product come out when you take your time with it, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know, let me get some fresh ears on it, and I basically kind of like just came back the next day, and I shut everything down, and I was just stuck with the drums and the sample as a loop, you know what I'm saying? So it had no song mode, and it had no bass line, no 808s, it was raw, you know what I'm saying? And basically, that's how I left it.
So what led you guys to go get together to find the right track for this group?
Well, first of all, the manager, he had a situation with Ray over at Rockefeller Records.
And he was the one who actually kind of took us in for us to get that whole Memphis Bleak Rockefeller feature. We were kind of, you know, we was moving around in that whole facility. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't want to give us the money we wanted at the time, and they had a whole roster, so that's why we didn't go to Rockefeller, you know what I mean?
Basically, Ray was getting a situation over at Priority, so I guess they were doing like a white label situation, but I didn't really know what white label was back then, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't too familiar with it. We was new in the game, we was fresh. I'm working on the track prior, the day before, and I leave. I come back the next day, and I run in the Bug as I'm going into the building, into his house, and he basically tells me that he's coming from Midtown, with the manager in the group, and he just laid a beat for them, you know what I'm saying? And I was just kind of curious. I was like, okay, like I don't know nothing about the beat they picked, you know what I mean? I'm in the blind, basically.
Okay, so Draft Pick gets signed to Priority, and you guys actually put out a single,
yes,
called Play Rough, featuring Memphis Bleak and Tracy Lee.
We definitely did. Yeah, we definitely did. It's a dope record too. Me, Memphis Bleak, Tracy Lee, and my partner. And I think one of Memphis Bleak peoples is on there, a dude named T.I. Well, no?
I'm not sure. I just saw
Alright, but
Tracy
go
Lee and
ahead.
Memphis
Yeah,
Bleak.
that you right, but go ahead.
When they come in the house, he just hits play. And they like, oh, what's that? He just played the one I was working on prior. And he's like, yo, that's crazy. Yo, can we get that?
It's kind of a big deal. I mean, because remember, Tracy Lee had songs, I think, with Biggie back then.
No, Tracy Lee was dope, man. Tracy Lee was super hot. Memphis Bleak was, Memphis Bleak was hot. You know what I mean? Down with Rockefeller. It's crazy because our manager at the time, the guy that was managing Draft Pick, he had some ties with Rockefeller just through the streets. You know what I'm saying?
So was it just them solo?
No, actually they had at the time Memphis Bleak was a Rockefeller artist, and this kid named Tracy Lee, which had the song Everywhere That My Crew Go. You know what I'm saying? So he had a hit record out. So those were the two features on the record. I guess it was basically because he was trying to incorporate them with the record to get a buzz for his group. You know what I'm saying? Because of Ray, he had the connections. You know what I'm saying? So Memphis Bleak and Trey Lee was on the record, which was a shock to me again. Once again, I had no idea. And it was weird because how I found out about the song was I was signed to a label, it was an indie label, and my studio was on 125th Street on 5th Avenue. So I used to take the train on St. Nicholas, the A train or the D train, to 125th Street on St. Nick and walk over to my studio and office on 5th Avenue. As I'm walking over to my session in my studio in the office, I'm hearing the mixtapes. Back then, they used to play the DJ's mixtapes out of a speaker and shit like that and set them on the floor, lay them out on the concrete and sell mixtapes. And I'm walking past one day on 125th Street and I hear K Slade talking over this beat. And I'm like, yo, that sound like my beat. You know what I'm saying? I'm bugging. I'm like, as I'm getting closer to the speaker, I'm like, and I hear Meth Bleak rapping. And I'm like, yo, that's my joint right there. So I'm kind of tripping. As I get to the studio and get to the office, I'm like, yo, Bug, like, I just heard the record on DJ K Slade mixtape. And he's like, yeah, man, I heard they put it out. You know what I'm saying?
But Priority wound up being the wrong thing to do because it was just like a whole shit show over there. Them being a West Coast based label, you know what I mean? So much East Coast, West Coast drama going on at the time. Like us being like this new group, like, we ain't really have no, you know what I mean? No reason for them to really be paying attention to us. They got Ice Cube, they got Dub C, they got the West Coast connection. Like, we just got lost all the way in the sauce. Like, we were just up there, like, sitting ducks, just kind of like signed to a label now, just waiting to get off the label. That it was one of those type of situations. You know what I mean? So.
Guns spraying the light and blazing the night. I got dogs at 7:30 just waiting to bite. So play if you want. You be that nigga laid in the front. After I'm done, I let my dogs start shaking them up. I got hot ones to drop sons. I even hollow the tip so that the cops run. We even have your block number. See, it's only